I have in my CD collection a few albums which were considered classics a few decades ago but has now seems to have been forgotten and is now possibly underappreciated. I believe they are still great albums and a great reflection of the times when they were released. This album sound and evokes feelings of a specific time and place, and I'm listing here these CDs that are worth being revisited. Great albums are the ones you always go back to anyway. So here's my top 5 CDs of forgotten classic albums. The first is The Velvet Underground and Nico by The Velvet Underground. It was released by Verve Records in 1967 and was The Velvet Underground's first album. It was number 19 on VH1's Greatest Albums list and number 13 on Rolling Stone's Greatest Albums list. On Rolling Stone's magazine article, it was said, rejected as nihilistic by the love crowd in 67, the Banana album, so named for its Warhol-designed cover, is the most prophetic rock album ever made. Unsurprisingly, this album was featured in the book A Brief History of Album Covers. Initial runs of the album had a peel, slow, and see instruction next to the banana. On these, the banana skin was stuck onto the sleeve like a yellow skin, and buyers could peel it off to reveal a pinkish banana beneath. This album evokes New York on the late 60s. This album is a perfect example of an album being ahead of its time. This is alternative rock before alternative rock. It underperformed in sales and polarized critics upon its release due to its abrasive, unconventional sound and controversial lyrics, but later became regarded as one of the most influential albums in rock and pop music and one of the greatest albums of all time. Watch out and hear the ostrich guitar used in Venus in Furs and All Tomorrow's Parties. Also hear John Cale playing viola in Venus in Furs and the Black Angels Death song. My favorite is the opening track, Sunday Morning. It's about stumbling home in the morning after a night of excesses. Next is the album So by Peter Gabriel. This album was released by Geffen on 1985. It's number 91 on VH1's Greatest Albums list and number 187 on Rolling Stone's Greatest Albums list. VH1 author Brian Ives wrote, Peter Gabriel has had the knack over the years of taking creative, challenging ideas and weaving them into unforgettable pop songs, but it never worked quite as well as it did on So. This album came out at the height of popularity of MTV. The song Sledgehammer's success was aided by the innovative claymation video, which collected 9 Moon Men at the 1987 Video Music Awards. The VH1 book said it was the album that introduced Peter Gabriel to the world, even though he was well known in rock circles as the original singer of Genesis. In Your Eyes and Sledgehammer are the most popular songs on this album, but watch out for the intro to the song Big Time. Bass players will probably have a hard time figuring out that funky quick riff. It was said on the VH1 book that they chopped down drumsticks were attached to their bassist Tony Levin's fingers. Watch out also for Kate Bush duet with Peter Gabriel on the song Don't Give Up. Third on my list is Tapestry by Carole King. It was released by Epic Records in 1971. It's number 39 on VH1's Greatest Albums list and number 36 on Rolling Stone's Greatest Albums list. On Rolling Stone's article, it was said, on Tapestry, King remade herself as an artist and created a reigning model for the 1970s female singer-songwriter, not to mention a blockbuster pop record of enduring artistic quality. This album came out of an era when the best female singer-songwriters like Joni Mitchell, Stevie Nicks, and Kate Bush, just to name a few, came out of the woodwork. VH1 writer Brian Ives said on the book that this album is one of the best-selling albums of all time, with a handful of songs known to anyone with even the most passing interest in popular music. On the song Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, you can hear the desperation which made Carole King's voice raspier than usual. We'll also hear James Taylor's backup singing on this song. On the song So Far Away, Watch out for that acoustic guitar in the background being played by James Taylor and that mesmerizing flute playing at the end. On the song Home Again, watch out for that excellent solo piano at 1 minute and 30 mark. And you might not have noticed before the violin playing on the song You've Got a Friend. Next on the list is Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. This album was released by Warner Brothers in 1977 and one of the best-selling albums of all time. It's number 16 on VH1's Greatest Albums list and number 26 on Rolling Stone's. On Rolling Stone's article, it was said, Rumours became the gold standard of late 70s FM radio and the 7th best-selling studio album of all time. This album was also featured in A Brief History of Album Covers. Rumours Live is almost a part 2 continuation of Fleetwood Mac's first album's artwork. Stevie Nicks dressed up in her theatrical fairy costume. It helps cement Nick's image as a somewhat mystical figure, possibly involved in witchcraft. This album dominated pop and rock radio when radio was still one of the most popular medium for discovering music. But I think saying that this is just a pop album will be a disservice considering how good the record is. As said on VH1's book, 3 wonderful and distinct singer-songwriters, voices backed by one of the greatest and perhaps one of the most underrated rhythm sections in popular music. The songs here are all catchy with that California sunshine vibe. You'll probably still hear Lindsey Buckingham's Go Your Own Way, Stevie Nicks' Dreams, and Christine McVie's You Make Loving Fun on the radio. I enjoy the bright acoustic guitars on Never Going Back Again. With all these popular songs, the track that stands out to me is Songbird, which is a haunting declaration of love. And the last, of course, is Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. This album was released by Reprise in 1967 and is considered by critics as the greatest debut album of the rock era. It's number 5 on VH1's Greatest Albums list and number 15 on Rolling Stone's Greatest Albums list. VH1 author Mac Randall wrote, "A psychedelic masterpiece, the most significant and influential demonstration in the history of the electric guitar's talismanic power, an essential document of 60s pop culture." This is what Britain sounded in late 1966 and early 1967. I'm just going to quote VH1's Mac Randall some more as I love the article he has written about this album. The simple fact is, Jimi Hendrix wrote music in a different way from everyone else. He was a virtuoso guitar player, a powerful singer, and a dazzling showman. I really enjoyed this album. Right from the very first track, hear that powerful discordant guitar in Purple Haze. I love this song as I love it when Jimmy said, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky." Another favorite of mine is the track Are You Experienced, as it has the phrase, "Not necessarily stoned, but beautiful." Hendrix said it himself, this album is a collection of free feeling and imagination. And that's my top 5 CDs of forgotten classic albums. They have beautiful songs which can transport you back in time and gives you a feeling of being in a certain place. I know there are much more great albums that people don't listen to often anymore, but I think these 5 great albums will be great to revisit or discover and appreciate. And as usual, I made this video to hopefully introduce you guys to great albums you may have missed and have not heard, or just to get you to hear these old favorites with fresh ears. Happy listening!